Palakpakan natin pang ng isa pa. Ayan. Okay. So, ayan. Praise God for that. Okay. Okay, so welcome back to all of us. We're here again in our church. And I want to thank the Lord for the week that just has passed. Minsan na nakakalimutan natin ang pasalamatan ng Panginoon sa linggong nagdaan. Parang pwede nga wala na kayo sa linggong to eh. Pero nandito pa kayo. So, pasalamatan natin ng Panginoon na ang katabi natin ay nandito pa ngayong linggo. Okay, praise God that all of us are still here on earth. And God gave us another week to just celebrate and live this life here on earth. Kasama natin ang pamilya natin, meron pa rin tayong trabaho, and that's really something we need to thank God for. So, today, we're back to our Exodus series. Matagal-tagal ho tayong nawala ng Exodus because before the camp, tayo ay nagkaroon ng series break. During the camp, we didn't talk about Exodus. After the camp, wala pa rin tayong Exodus. And today is the beginning of that. Exodus 17, Battles and Markers. So, bago ho tayo magkaroon ng series break in Exodus, I think the last thing we talked about, I think it's Kuya Ferdy who preached that, yung Exodus 16, yung walang tubig, walang pagkain. Kuya, ikaw ba yun? Nag-preach yun? Kuya Eric. Okay, so the first few struggles in the wilderness. Ito yung last natin na topic ng Exodus 16. But before that, few days ago, I was reading articles about an illness called kleptomania. Okay, how many of you are familiar with kleptomania? Sino may katabi parang kleptomania? So kleptomania, ito yung I was reading about this few days ago. Kasi I remember studying about this when I was still in seminary. Siguro few semesters ago, meron ho akong subject, ang tawag niya ay Child and Adolescent Therapy. So in this subject, we talk about struggles of adults that can be traced back sa kanilang pagkabata. And what the subject is saying is this, na lahat daw ho tayo, lahat tayo dito, kung ano mang issue mo ngayon, whether you're very, very emotional, kung ikaw man masundot ng konti galit na, or kung ikaw man yung tipong tao na napaka-tough, napaka-strong, it all traces back to what happened when you were very young. That's why I realized na yung palang mga 2, 3, 4, 5 to 7 years old, ito yung very, very important na part ng ating pagkatao. Because our formative years are in these years. Na kung merong something radical that happened in this age 2 to 7, it will be brought until tayo adult na. And we talked about this illness called kleptomania. Yan, paki-flash nga. Yan, kleptomania. So, kleptes means steal, and mania means obsession. So, obsession in stealing. Now, we hear this. Meron tayong minsan naisip natin, ay, nagnanakaw, klepto. Yung we label people as kleptomaniac. But I realized that kleptomania, hindi lang ito yung tipong, dahil nagutom ka, nagnanakaw dahil nagugutom ka, klepto ka na. Or let's say, ikaw nagusto kaming nail polish, tas kinuha mo, tas mga 3 beses ka nagnanakaw, na ganun, kleptomania ka na. So, it's not like that. I realized na kleptomania is not the same as stealing. So yung mga magnanakaw, they're not necessarily kleptomaniac. Sila lang talagang halang na magnanakaw. But kleptomania, people who are diagnosed with kleptomania are not necessarily bad people. Because they don't steal dahil gusto nila yung item. Kasi itong kleptomania or the act of uncontrolled stealing, they steal, it doesn't matter kung ano man yung nakawin nila. It doesn't matter kung yan man tornilyo, kung yan man ay TV, or yan man cotton buds, o yan man the value is not important. But there's a feeling na kapag nagnakaw ka, you feel good. It's like a coping mechanism to an anxiety. Diba? Some people, they cope in depression and anxiety by cutting themselves. Some people, they eat a lot. Some people, they shop a lot. Some people, they talk a lot. Or some people, unhealthy. Yun nga, yung nagkakat, kumakain ng madami. Yung iba, oversleeping. Yung iba, obscene, tumatalon sa building. Some, they do steal. They steal uncontrollably. Not because they want the item, but because they feel really good kapag nakapagnakaw sila. But after that, they feel very, very guilty because they knew they did something wrong. You know, anorexia, right? Yung gutom ka, kakain ka ng madami, and pagkakain mo, magigilty ka, okay, mo tutusukin mo yung lalamunan mo para masuka mo yung kinain mo. Parang ganun yung kleptomania. You really want to take something kasi you feel good about it. Pero pagkatapos nun, you feel very, very guilty. So, I was reading, I don't know why I read this recently, pero I read this and then nabasa ko yung therapy sa kleptomania. Sabi doon, the way to deal kleptomania is by, of course, therapy. Therapy meaning they talk about it. Why do you feel like stealing, ganan? Pangalawa, there's this term called desensitization. Meaning, para ka tinitrain mo sarili mo para isipin na stealing is bad. Para ka nag-exercise, tinitrain mo yung utak mo na isipin na mali ito, mali ito. Ang ginagawa nila, halimbawa, sasabihin ng therapist, feel mo bang magnakaw ngayon? O parang gusto ko siyang gawin. So gagawin therapist, papaamoyin siya ng mabahong amoy. Para every time na makakaramdam siya ng gustong magnakaw, ma-associate niya yun sa bad smell. O kaya, that's one, para may negativity, para ma-shift into negativity yung gusto niyang gawin. O kaya, feel niya magnakaw, iisipin niya, mahuhuli ako. So yung desensitization, parang you're trying to turn that thing into a negative thing. And then merong interview about kleptomaniacs. Sabi nila na naka-move on na sila. Pero what they said was, the struggle is lifetime. Parang every time na tense sila, every time na na-anxious sila, every time na they feel very, very tense, yun ang kanilang initial reaction to steal things. So it's a lifetime thing. It's an ongoing struggle. They just have to really train themselves not to do it. And as I read that write-up, naisip ko na, parang I think sin and struggle is the same. Di ba na tayo, we grew up sinning. We grew up lying. We grew up committing mistakes. And no one trained us to do these things. Wala namang school on how to sin. Walang course na BS sinning. Walang ganon. You're just very good at doing it. And then nung nagkaroon ka na ng realization na mali palang kasalanan, you know it's an ongoing thing. You know it's a lifetime struggle na you really have to train yourself. Hindi ko na dapat ito gagawin. Your weaknesses, yung wrong relationships, you really have to train yourself, hindi na ito tama. You cannot really say na, you say you're free. But how many of you know na although we are free from sin already, as long as you're alive, the struggle is still ongoing. Parang yung mga drug addicts, after nilang ma-rehab, wag mo yung dadalhin sa mga pot session. Kasi it will just be triggered. Or let's say kung ikaw alcoholic ka dati, na-rehab ka, wag mo yung dadalhin sa alcohol ministry, yung mga mag-minister sa mga, pumunta sa mga bar, ganun. Kasi baka ma-trigger siya. So it's an ongoing struggle. It's an ongoing battle that we have to really resist. So the question for all of us is this: how do I, if my struggle to sin is ongoing, how do I resist in going back? Galing ho tayo ng camp. Was it 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? Galing ho tayo ng camp. And then some of us probably, we are like, talagang ako'y handang-handa na harapin ang buhay. Ganyan. No? Paglabas mo, talagang handang-handa ka na. Well, that might be true. But the question is, when you face the battles, how do you resist going back? How do you resist going back to your old life? How do you resist going back to the lure of this world? How do you stay free from the sins that you have said, I don't want to do them anymore? And yun yung pag-uusapan natin today, which Exodus 17 is very, very concerned about. Exodus 17. So we will read from verse 8 to verse 16. So let's read it responsibly and see what can we learn about this passage that will help us in staying free from all the struggles that we have in the past or we have in the present. Exodus 17:8-16. I'm going to read first and let's read responsibly. Verse 8 says, the Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered, and Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. 11. When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held his hands up on one on one side, one on the other, so that his hands remained steady till sunset. Then the Lord said to Moses, write this on a scroll as something to be remembered and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will completely blot out the name of Amalek from under heaven. Together, he said, because his hands were lifted up against the throne of the Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation. Now, so again, this happened after na yung pagkatawid ng mga Israelites dun sa Red Sea. Tapos nakatawid sila, and then nag-complain sila na walang tubig, walang pagkain, ang pait ng tubig. And then nalampasan nila yung struggle na yon, and then this one happened. They were attacked. So let's look at it in detail and see. Okay, so saan dyan pastor yung staying free? What can we learn about this? So let's look at verse 8 again. Verse 8 says, the Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. Now, ito pong attack na ito, this is the very first war that the Israelites experienced after na sila makawala ng Egypt. This is the very first battle that they had. So, imagine, nung they came from the 10 plagues, di ba yung bago sila ipalayain ni Pharaoh, nagpa-experience muna si God ng 10 plagues sa mga Egyptians. And then, so nakikita yun ng mga Israelites, parang wow, parang ang galing ng God na ito. Paano sila yung nagpadala ng plague, siya rin yung nagpatanggal ng plagues, magaling. Tapos, they're very, very on fire. Tapos, nung sila ay umalis na-witness naman nila yung paghawi naman ng Lake of Reeds or what we call Red Sea. You don't see that every day na may nahahawing dagat. So, sila ay very, very amazed. Very amazed of what happened. So imagine yung spiritual high ng mga Israelites nung sila umalis ng Egypt. They're very, parang ito na, come on. Parang after ng camp, yung talagang give me the world, ganyan. So ganun sila, yung they're very, very much on fire. And then parang sabi nila, ready na ako to face the battle. Parang, you remember sa camp, yung parang fresh ka ng camp, si Pastor Archie, yung biro mo 2 days ka na sinisigaw ni Pastor Archie na yung boss, wow! Yung opening pa lang, parang closing na. Ganun siya yung sabi nga ni Dan, climax parate si Pastor Archie. And then, ready na ako to face the world, bring me the battles. Ganun tayo paglabas. So, they were like that. So, the Israelites were so spiritual high after they just came from Egypt and experiencing all those miracles. Ito yung first battle that they have. First among the many battles that they will experience. Now, Amalekites. Sino ba itong mga Amalekites na ito? Nothing much is really mentioned about them except in Genesis. So, if you remember, 2 years ago, may preaching, I don't think you remember. 2 years ago, nag-preach tayo ng Genesis and Amalek was mentioned. There, si Amalek ay, ang nabanggit lang naman doon, siya ay descendant ni Esau. Remember Esau, Jacob, Esau? But we don't really see much detail kung sino ba itong mga Amalekites na ito. But what we know is that the Amalekites, they have a very long history kasama ng mga Israelites. If you have read portions of Old Testament, siguro narinig, sila yung mga isa sa mga Jebusites, mga Ammonites, mga Amalekites, fly the kites, ano ganun. So, Amalekites. So itong Amalekites, they have a very long history with the Israelites. Una nilang battle is this. Sumunod dito nung sa Jordan, pagkatawid nila ng Jordan River, may Amalekites na naman. Sa Book of Judges, may Amalekites na naman. Nung si King Saul, if you remember, na naging king si King Saul, sabi ni Samuel kay King Saul, pumunta ka dun sa mga Amalekites, destroy everything. I don't know if you're familiar with that story. Sabi ni Samuel kay Saul, huwag kang magtitira. Yung mga hayop nila, patayin mo. Yung mga plunder, sunugin nyo. Yung mga tao, patayin nyo lahat. So sabi ni Samuel kay Saul. Pero ang ginawa ni Saul, di ba nagtira siya, kinuha niya yung mga animal, ay mataba ito, baka pwede itong itago, i-offer kay God. Ganun. Ano ko, yung mga garments, maganda, itago natin. Yung king, wag mo muna natin patayin. Diyan muna yan. So, familiar with that story, nagtira si Saul ng so mga Amalekites yun. Si David also had an encounter with the Amalekites. Okay, Esther, the Israelites have a very long history with the Amalekites. So, what God is saying here is this, na yes, you're in a spiritual high, but there will be battles every time pagkalabas nyo ng Egypt. So, Egypt is not the ending. Maraming pa kayong kakalabanin. And the same goes with us. How many of you know, after the camp, di ba, you're so on fire, ganyan, na, sige, come on, ganyan. Pero pag uwi mo ng bahay, na hindi mo mabuksan yung Bible mo, parang one paragraph, inaantok ka na. May mga ganun. So, you know, this is an ongoing battle. After a very spiritual high, there's always battle after that. It's an ongoing struggle, ongoing battle that we are gonna encounter. No matter how spiritually high you are, that does not exempt you from any battles in this world. Like, okay, let's go back to the camp. One of the things that we talked about there is the love for the lost. Sabi natin, sige, parang Pastor Archie gave us a quick statistics of those who knew Jesus and those who don't know Jesus. And then, di ba, parang na heartbreak tayo, na grabe, ganun pa pala kadami hindi nakakilala sa Panginoon. Tapos yung iba sa atin, sige, padala mo na ako, pastor, punta na ako doon. And then, saan bang mission field dito? Dito, Little India, punta tayo dyan. So, we're so very excited to share the gospel, ganyan. Tapos naisip mo yung mga katrabaho mo, mayroong katrabaho na Indian, ang boss ko ay Muslim. Ako, gusto ko sana ipag-pray at i-share ng gospel, kaklase ko, ganito, mamatay na, kailangan ko ipag-pray. You're very on fire. Pagdating mo ng opisina, nakaaway mo ka agad yung boss mo, nakaaway mo yung Indian mong katrabaho, nawala na yung love for the lost, agad-agad, Monday pa lang, wala na. Because it's an ongoing battle. It's always, our spiritual high does not guarantee a battle-free life. Okay? There will always be a struggle every time. Well, it's good for us to experience this thing, but that does not make our lives battle-free. No amount of prayer will give you a battle-free life. No amount of prayer will give us a struggle-free life. Our life does not end in the church camp. Our life does not end after the church anniversary. Our life does not end in our salvation, in our water baptism. Praise God, we have 4 water baptisms nung ating church camp. Praise God, doon sa 4 na na-baptize. But your life does not end there. Okay? Spiritual high is not the end of itself. No amount of prayer will give us a battle-free life. Same with the Israelites. Ano ba? Their life does not end in Egypt. After that, marami pa silang haharapin bago pa sila makarating sa Promised Land. And the way to the Promised Land, it's not like yellow brick road na talaga napaka-smooth, no? And we know, di ba, pagkalabas pa lang, hinabol sila ni Pharaoh. Pagkalampas ng Pharaoh, walang pagkain. Pagka-provide ng pagkain, ito na naman ang mga Amalekites. So it's an ongoing battle. And ito, maybe you've heard this before. Or maybe you experienced this before, na yung sinasabi nila na kung kailan pa ako naging Kristiyano, tsaka naman nagdatingan tungkol itong mga bagay-bagay. So we know this, and we've experienced this in the past. So it's an ongoing battle for them. And Amalekites is one of the first few. Now let's look at verse 9. So ano sabi ngayon ni Moses? Ngayon sila i-attack ng mga Amalekites. Sabi sa verse 9, Moses said to Joshua, choose some of our men, and go out to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow, okay, take note of that term. Tomorrow, I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands. So ito hong verse na ito, this is the very first time that the name of Joshua was mentioned. And then sabi dito, si Joshua in-entrust ni Moses na, Joshua, ikaw ang pumunta doon, makipag-battle ka doon sa baba, kami naman ni Aaron at her doon kami sa itaas, at I will bring the staff of God in my hand doon sa itaas. Now, the word here that I wanted to take a look at is the word tomorrow. Now, tomorrow, maybe, I don't know if some of you have noticed it, but dun ho sa 10 plagues ni God through Moses, tomorrow is always mentioned in there. And God would say, tomorrow I will send this to Pharaoh. Tomorrow I will deliver you from the Egypt. Tomorrow I will remove the plague. Tomorrow you'll see God's victory. So, yung word that tomorrow, for us, tomorrow very simple, but in Hebrew, the word tomorrow, if you look at, especially in the book of Exodus, kapag nakita mo na yan, you know there will be victory kinabukasan. So tomorrow in the word of God in Exodus, it's a precursor to victory for them. Na kapag sinabi na ni God, tomorrow, alam na yun ng mga mananalo tayo tomorrow. So it's an intro to victory. Tomorrow, I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands. And yung staff, di ba, sa 10 plagues, di ba, ito rin yung ginagamit ni Moses kapag magpapadala siya ng langaw, staff, ng palaka, staff. Nung hinati niya yung dagat, di ba, staff din yung kanyang nire. So it's always like that. And another word here is the word hill. The word hill. It's interesting na si Moses ay nasa bundok. At habang nakikipaglaban ng kanya, Joshua, I don't know with you, pero kung ako si Joshua, Joshua, kayo kumuha ka ng mga tao, makipaglaban kayo doon. Ako muna doon sa hill. Ako aakyat muna. So, kung ikaw si Joshua, you would think, ito yung kunyari, hill ka pa. But there's something important in here, which you will see later on. Why would Moses go to a hill? Ba't di na lang siya doon sa baba? Kung magre-raise siya ng hand, pwede naman sa baba, bakit sa hill? Why does he need to do that? So these things, we will look at that later on. But let's look first in verse 10 to 12. So what happened after? Nung sinabi ni Moses kay Joshua yon. So verse 10 says, so Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses ordered, and Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, kasi napapagod, no? He lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. So, para siyang parang napaka-magical nung pangyayari. Pag nakaganan si Moses, nananalo yung mga Israelites. Syempre, tayo pag nag-worship tayo, ilang minutes lang yung worship natin. Di ba minsan, kapag nag-worship tayo, mga verse 1, verse 2, chorus, medyo napapagod ka na, yung ibaba mo ng konti. O yung kapag yung merong prayer sa unahan, let's extend our hands to our friend, missionary, pagpe-pray natin. Tagal mag-pray ng paso, minsan napapagalan ka. Okay, ibaba mo ng konting ganyan. Ilang minutes lang yon. This one is one whole day. So pagod si Moses, bababa niya. But something interesting here is this, na kapag tinaas niya, nananalo si Israel, pag binaba niya, nananalo si Amalekite. And if you read some book about this, they have interesting interpretation of what this means. Some would say na ang ibig sabihin daw niyan, dapat daw kapag nakataas ang kamay ay powerful ang ating worship. Kapag medyo mababa ang kamay ay naging talunan tayo. So, kaya kailangan nakataas ang kamay all the time, ganun. So, yung iba naman, they would say na it pertains to prayer daw, na kapag daw nakaganan si Moses, parang nagpe-pray siya sa Panginoon. Kapag nabumababa, parang tinatamad daw siyang mag-pray, parang tayo daw, ganun daw. And some people would say na ito daw ay encouragement sa mga Israelites. Kapag nataas ang kamay ni Moses, na-encourage sa mga Israelites, laban tayo. And then kapag napapagod si Moses, ayoko na lumaban. May mga ganung, now we laugh about it, but there are books published about this. Now, okay, the Bible, if you would read verse 12, 13, 14, the Bible did not really explain what this means. I mean, but pag nakataas, nananalo, pagbaba, natatalo. But one thing that we miss here in this story is this, na very similar itong means na ito dun sa 10 plagues. Ano ho? Now, when Moses sent the plagues and removed the plagues, Moses raised his hands with the staff. When Moses sent the flies, ganun din. Nung kanyang hinawi ang tubig, ganun din. It's like, what the Bible is saying is this, all these plagues, all this paghahawi ng water, all this winning of the battle, it's not really, sino ba nag-work talaga behind these things? Is it really Joshua and his people? Is it really Moses? Who sends the plagues? Who removes the plagues? Who let the Israelites win? Is it them or is it him? And I guess it's something that we really have to be reminded. Ano po na all the victories that we have, kaya na we sang this song, who wears the victor's crown? It's really Jesus Christ, diba? It's God. So, whatever battles they have, it's like what God is saying here is this, you are there fighting, but the real battle is happening on the hill. It's in the spiritual realm, something like that. Now, you thought na things are happening in the physical realm only, but something is happening in the spiritual realm that you don't see. Which brings me to the first point that we have right now. Our first point is this, that our battle is truly spiritual. Naputol ho yung our, pero our battle is truly spiritual. I think this is very good for us to understand because if we miss the point that our battles are spiritual, we will end up fighting the wrong enemy. Kasi di ba minsan when we say sino ba mga enemy natin? Minsan halimbawa kapag yung boss mo na delay ang sweldo mo, enemy, parang tingin mo sa akin enemy siya na I will be vindicated by God. Parang siya naging enemy mo or let's say halimbawa yung nangungutang sa hindi ka binabayaran, yung enemy ko na siya, yung the Lord will avenge me. Parang siya na ngayon yung naging physical ang ating battle. But our battle is actually very spiritual. Like sino ba yung mga, kasi I think we have to understand this because we might quoting verses and apply it differently na the vengeance is mine, says the Lord, na kapag yung amo ko delay ang sweldo, naku, nagkasakit, tama, the vengeance is mine. Pinaghiganti ako ng Panginoon against her. So, or we will end up like that. Or verses like, if God is for us, who against us? Let's say, kami ni Michelle dati nung wala pa siyang visa ng mga unang panahon, tatawid siya ng immigration and then, if God is for us, who is against us? Ganyan. Tapos, pag mayroong immigration officer na nagagalit, parang the Lord will avenge us. Ganon yung parang ang naging enemy natin yung mga tao sa paligid natin. But we have to understand that our battle is not really here. Okay? Our battle is spiritual. That's why Paul, di ba si Paul ang kanyang description ng ating armor, nanyo ba yung ating armor of God, yung breastplate of righteousness, sword of the Spirit. So these are spiritual weapons for spiritual enemy. Sword of the Spirit is the Bible. No, hindi mo yung, sword, mangungutang, ayan na, sword of the Spirit. You don't do that. Because our battle is really in there, in the spiritual realm. Our battle is spiritual. Amalekites, what are they really doing? Or yung Egyptians, what did they really do? Firstly, ba't ba ni-rescue ni God ang mga Israelites from Egypt? Because God chose this nation to be blessed para ma-bless ang mga buong mundo. Di ba? Parang silang nation na niligtas muna ni God para through them, the whole world will be saved. Now, what Egyptians were doing is this. They did not let the Israelites go. So, in other words, what they're doing is they're stopping the plan of God to rescue the mankind. That's why they were punished by the Lord. Amalekites are the same. Yung Egyptians ang ginawa nila, they stopped the Israelites from leaving. Yung Amalekites, what they did, they stopped the Israelites from entering the promised land. So both of them are stopping the redemption plan of God. And I believe that's what it means to be an enemy of the Lord. Though our enemies are things or spirits that are stopping the redemption plan of God. So what are our enemies? Fear of rejection. That's an enemy. It stops living a life of redeemed. Envy. That's your enemy. Unforgiveness. You may not have, wala ka mang, let's say, wala kang kasalanan sinasabi mo sa katawan mo, but you're very unforgiving. You're entertaining the enemy in you. Ano ba enemy natin? Envy, unforgiveness, fear of rejection, sexual immorality. These are our enemies because our battle is there in the spiritual realm. Our battle is there not really in the physical things that we see. So our battle is truly spiritual. And if you will continue, verse 13 to verse 16. Verse 13 says, so Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword. So after nilang magbattle and Moses was raising his hands because the battle is in the spiritual, later on nanalo na rin sila Joshua, nanalo yung mga nasa baba. So Joshua overcame the Amalekite with the sword. Can you read verse 14? Then the Lord Okay, so God commanded Moses, write this down. Write everything that had happened because I will blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. In verse 15, Moses built an altar and called it, the Lord is my banner. Familiar kayo sa term, the Lord is my banner? He said, because hands were lifted up to or against the throne of the Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation. Now, what Moses actually wrote, we don't really know exact words. Ano kayo sinulat ni Moses? Ano kayo sinulat niya? Ganyan. But Moses wrote these things because God commanded him. Now, the question is why? Bakit kaya sinabi ni God na isulat mo yung, i-record mo yung ginawa ng mga Amalekites, i-record mo yung nangyari sa inyo? Why would God ask Moses to write these things? Why would God ask Moses to write the story of the Amalekites versus Israel in the scroll? But it says in here in verse 14, sabi dyan, write this on a scroll as something to be remembered and make sure that Joshua hears it. So why did God ask him to write it? So that the Israelites will not forget what God has done to them in the desert. So that they will have a memory of it. God asked Moses to write these things so that they will not forget what God has done to the Israelites while they were in the desert. And just like what I said just now, di ba, sabi ko kanina yung Amalekites, hindi ito yung ending. Marami pa silang Amalekites encounter up to David's time. So they have to really remember na may nangyari before sa amin. God rescued us from the Amalekites. Baka dito God will rescue us again. They need something to remember. They need some memorial to remember what happened to them. Kasi hindi ito yung huli. Mauulit at mauulit ito. They have to remember what happened to them before. And that's why I said a while ago, yung sinabi ni Jesus Christ, di ba, na do this in remembrance of me. Memory is very powerful. You have to remember these things so that you would know what you're going to do later on. Israel needed a reminder. It's like what God is saying is this. Sige, isulat mo to. I'm telling you, write this down. Make an altar. Not because it will remind you na wala nang battle. It will remind you na meron pang battle. And even though there is battle, I want to remind you that before I was with you, later on I will always be with you. Before I fought for you, later on I will always fight for you. So this reminder is very important for them, for the daily battles that they will do day after day until they reach the end, until they reach the promised land. Israel needed something to remind them. They need a memorial. They need a marker. Okay, which brings me to my second point. Kanina, our battle is spiritual. Pangalawa po, markers, they remind us of God's presence. Now, naputol ho na, but it says markers. Markers remind us of God's presence. Una, our battle is spiritual. Pangalawa, markers remind us of the presence of God. Now, what markers do you have? I mean, can you remember any marker that reminds you of God's presence? Like for the Israelites, ang marker nila yung scroll at saka yung altar na pinagawa ni God to remind them of His presence. How about us? What markers do you have that remind you of the presence of God? It doesn't have to be an item. Of course, the Bible reminds us of the presence of God. It doesn't have to be a picture. It can be an event. It can be a person. But do you have markers in your life that remind you of the presence of God? Okay, I can name a few in my life. Ano po? Some are very simple. Some are very bombastic. Like, I think na-mention ko na to before to some of you. Noong una kong pagkarating sa Vietnam, wala pang Cebu Pacific kasi noon, so Philippine Airlines pa lang. So, I mean, una ko palang pagbalik from Vietnam to Philippines. Ang una kong uwi po, di ba sa boarding gate, nakatambay muna kayo doon, tapos bago tawagin na, seat number A to Z, may ganun, di ba? So, nakaupo muna. Ngayon, nakapasok na lahat, and then, mga isang row kaming natira doon sa upuan. Tapos nakita namin yung mga grounds attendant, usap sila, yung pawis na pawis, alam mo na merong hindi magandang nangyayari. Tapos lumapit sa katabi ko yung grounds attendant. Sabi niya, Sir, we had a problem with your seat. Okay lang ba na maghintay ka saglit because we're fixing our things in there. Itong katabi ko, medyo rude medyo mean siya na, kaya nga ako nag-online booking para okay, makaupo ka agad, tapos kukunin mo yung seat ko, ganun, medyo rude siya. So, and we were very uncomfortable yung mga katabi, pero hindi siya pumayag sa grounds attendant. So, sabi ng grounds attendant, ako pinuntahan, sabi niya, Sir, kayo po ba, okay lang ba for you to stay for, papasukin muna namin yung iba and stay for a while kasi we had problems with the booking. Ako naman, parang, ayoko naman magpaka-rude, tsaka hindi man ako sanay din makipag-argue. So sabi ko, sige, okay lang, matagal ba? Hindi naman po saglit na we'll try to fix everything inside. Di okay na rin ako, naghintay lang ako doon. I remembered what kindness meant. So, sige, just be kind and then you don't want to be the mean person, so magpakabait ka na and maghintay. Nang pagbalik sa akin ng attendant, sabi, Sir, thank you for being so kind and patient. What happened was, we had overbooking. So, yung seat ng mama ay may nakaupo, na doble. So, wala ako ngayong upuan. Sabi sa akin sa attendant. So, sabi niya, okay lang po ba if we will move you to the business class for free? So sabi ko, ano ba yan? sabi ko, sige, ba? So walang bayad, wala po. We'll just lead you there. Naka-business class si pastor, di ba? Ganyan. Then, wine, and then basta ito pagkain. Pero isang 3 hours lang, Vietnam lang, 2.5 hours lang. But that's a marker for me that God rewards. God rewards obedience. God rewards kindness. That's one of my markers that reminds me of the presence of God. Another marker that I have, nung nagka-cancer ho yung tatay ko, my father had a cancer when I was 22. And then siya ho kasi ay chain smoker and a chain drink alcoholic, as mamajong. Marami ho siyang mga extracurricular activities. And then it affected his body a lot, nagka-cancer ho siya. And then ang kapatid ko ho ay married na, so he has his own family and expenses. Ako ho ay single pa nung time na yon. I was working in Vietnam. My parents were still both working. Trabaho pa rin sila ho noon. So nung nagka-cancer tatay ko, bago po ho kasi magpa-check up, inisip namin, okay, kaya naman siguro natin yung gastusin, may trabaho tayo pare-pareho, and then si kuya ko probably can chip in a bit. Nung nagpa-check up tatay ko, sabi nung doktor, okay sir, meron ho kayong cancer, and then prepare 7,000 every treatment without doctor's fee, without medicine yet, 7,000 every treatment every day for 6 months. So, nung 7,000, 7,000 every treatment, okay lang yun Pero every day for 6 months, minimum. So it means we need to save 210,000 a month for the treatment alone, without doctor's fee, without medicine yet. So we're thinking probably 300,000 monthly. And then, ilang buwan ho? Minimum 6 months. So, isip namin, 1-2 months siguro. Kasi wala na ho kaming insurance. Ang kapatid ko ho, ang insurance niya, nasa pamilya na kasi kasal na ho siya. Ako ho, nung sa Vietnam, wala ho kami insurance na covered ang magulang na nasa Pilipinas. Ang parents ko ho, they were both government employees. So ang kanilang insurance ay PhilHealth at saka GSIS na I think hindi siya covered masyado. So 300,000 monthly. So medyo natakot ho kami kung saan kami kukuha nung hanggang minimum 6 months. We need to, siguro kung 400,000, mga 2 to 3 million ang kailangan namin i-prepare. So, miyak naman si Pastor Sherwin. Hindi pa ako pastor, ako ay cell group member nung time na yon. And then, of course, I ask people to pray because we really don't have an amount. Actually, ang prayer ko, Lord, pagaling nung po yung tatay ko. Pangalawa, bigyan niyo ho ako ng mauutangan. Ganun, yun ang prayer naming pamilya. But after 1 week of thinking about and praying about all these things, balik kami sa doctor for a second opinion. Sabi ng isang doctor, ay, sir, hindi naman ho pala kailangan ng treatment na 7,000. Ang cancer niyo ho ay stage 1.5 to 2 lang. So, kailangan niyo lang ho ng cobalt therapy, 700 per session lang ho yun. So kami, 700%? From 7,000 to 700, ang laki na discount namin. So for 6 months, okay lang din. So from 210,000 monthly, kailangan namin mag-raise ng 21,000 pesos monthly. So kayang-kaya, yakan ni Sherwin. so pwede. So wala nga ako masyado na itulong dahil parang kaya na ho ng insurance ng mga magulang ko. And ang tatay ko ho ngayon ay magaling na. So siya kaka-retire lang niya few years ago at talagang cancer-free na siya for the past 20 years. So that's one marker that I have. Yung sa aeroplano, itong sa tatay ko, yung every time I see someone changing lives are changed here in the church, that's another marker for me. I think I shared this before sa inyo, na sabi nagtanong sa akin na kaklase ko sa seminary, sabi niya sa akin, pareho kasi kaming galing corporate bago nagpastor. Sabi niya, Sherwin, don't you miss the life in the corporate? Sabi ko, naman nami-miss ko. Ano mga nami-miss mo doon? Sabi ko, nami-miss ko pera, at mga benefits, ganyan, nami-miss ko. Tapos sabi ko, pero I think for the past 5 years of serving in the church, seeing people's lives changing, this is something that you cannot see in the corporate. This is something that money cannot really pay. Na seeing marriages getting better, seeing a relationship of the parent to child getting better. This is something that a marker for me also. A marker that reminds me of the presence of God. Yung mga text message na, Pastor, salamat sa preaching. Pastor, may dala kaming cupcake. These are markers. This is a marker. These are markers of the presence of God in my life. Every time a young people from our cell group would say na gusto makita ko mag-serve sila dito, these are markers of the presence of God. But not all markers don't have to be positive. Diba? Some markers are not very positive, but I still consider them markers of the presence of God. Yung nga sabi ko kanina, si Michelle na nung unang taon namin dito, siya ho ay palabas-labas. 1 month kami dito, 1 month dun siya sa Pilipinas, 1 month ulit dito, 1 month sa Pilipinas, maho-hold sa immigration, mapapagalitan, magastos. These are very sad, one of the saddest years of our marriage po, kasi nga we don't know where we are gonna go. But they became a marker of God's presence in our lives because it increased our faith. And it also, those were the times where I felt the love of the church so much sa aming pamilya. So these things, these are the markers of God that reminds me of God's presence in my life. Now, but for all of us, what markers do you have? If I would ask you to think right now, what markers do you have in your life? Okay, it doesn't have to be a very bombastic one. It can be a very simple marker. It can be a sad marker also, but still it reminds you of the presence of God. Like here sa Israelites, di ba? Hindi naman pinramis ni God sa kanila na you will win every battle. Ang promise lang ni God sa kanila, I will be with you as you go to the promised land. But God did not promise na you will win every battle. Even kay Jesus Christ, sabi niya hindi naman niya sinabi sa mga disciples niya na, okay. Sabi ni Jesus Christ sa mga disciples niya, I will be with you till the very end of the age. But Jesus did not say, you will win every battle of this life. He did not say that. What he said was, you will face trials of many kinds. And then, some of them namatay, some of them napugutan. But Jesus was with them till the very end of the age. So, we all have those markers in our life. Now, think of those markers that reminds you of the presence of God. It could be, may kumatok sa inyo at binigyan ng tulong all of a sudden. It could be that time na may sakit sa pamilya, gumaling. It could be that time na I love you sa'yo yung anak mo na hindi nag-I love you before. It could be that time na may nag-I love you sa'yo na wala nag-I love you dati. It could be a marker. Or it could be that time na 3 months kang walang trabaho. Alam mo yung, tandaan niyo yung feeling na nag-a-apply kayo ng trabaho dito. Tapos, first month, you are very, yung positive, magkakatrabaho ako. Tapos lahat ng interview, pinupuntahan. Kahit pang PR lang, pinupuntahan mo pa rin. Kasi nga, talagang you are in faith na, meron pa tayong mga kasabihan na, let's say, sabihin ng churchmate mo, naku, 1 week na lang po ako dito. Sasabihin natin, naku, marami pang pwede mangyari sa 1 week. Ilang beses ko noon nasabi yan sa mga dumarating dito. Parang sinasabi, naku, marami pang mangyari sa 1 week. Marami pang mangyari in 3 days. Marami pang mangyari in 1 day. Marami tayong mga ganun. Pero pag dumating na dun sa malapit na, yung 2 buwan na kayo dito, naka-exit ka na sa Malaysia, 2 buwan ka na, ito na yung ka ng kaganaganang mag-attend ng mga interview. Ito na yung tinatanong ka ng ka-churchmate mo, kumusta? Yung mga ganyan, ayaw mo nang sagutin dahil remind ka na wala ka pang trabaho, remind ka na papaso na yung visa mo. But those can be markers of God's presence in your life. Because the fact that you have a church na nangungumusta sa'yo, di ba? Parang wala eh. Binigang mag-isa ka na lang dito, maghanap kang trabaho, mag-isa, wala kang katulong. But there are people in the church na kahit pangungumusta man lang, bigyan ka ng pandesal. Ito, baka wala ka ng pangkain. Kainin mo muna, ganyan. Lugaw, sa amin ka na matulog. Ganyan. These are markers that we have in our lives. And I hope we remember that in your Christian walk, you need markers to remind you of the presence of God in your life. Because this life is full of battles. Every battle, ang isa sa mga weapon mo, marker. Sabi ng Panginoon, kasama siya, kaya ko to. Markers of our lives. Not live this life without remembering any marker that reminds you of God's presence. Is it an event? Is it a person? Is it a song? Is it a Bible passage? Is it a place? What marker do you have to remind you of the presence of God in your life? So, 2 things. Una po, in Exodus 17, our battle is truly spiritual. Pangalawa, markers remind us of the presence of God in our lives. And okay, I'm gonna close now. Now, you might ask, you might tell me, Pastor, wala akong tandaang any mark. I mean, kanina nung inask ko, what are your markers? Iniisip mo ng marker. Wala kayong maala. Like, you don't have anything to remind you of the presence of God. Let me tell you that you might not have any bombastic, thrilling event to remind you of God's presence. But what I can tell you is this, that every moment is a marker of God's presence because God is always with us. Okay? Every moment of your life, pag-gising mo sa umaga, that can be a marker of God's presence because God is always with us. Yung katabi mo ngayon, it can be a marker of God's presence in your life. Yung nagpajama pa kay last night, that can be a marker of God's presence in your life. Your birthday, be a marker of God's presence in your life. Your boss, no matter how mean your boss is, that can he or she can be a marker of God's presence in your life. Yan madami eh. Ito na lang may church dito, it's a marker of God's presence in your life. Yung 5, 4, 3, 10 years experience mo in Singapore na you are here, dating mo pagtanda mo, 80 years old ka na, remember, that's a marker of God's presence in my life. 5 years of work in Singapore. Yung time na nag-a-apply trabaho, yung umaasa sa bigay ng mga sa paligid mo can be a marker of God's presence in your life. Yung pag-grow horizontally, that can be a marker of God's presence in your life. I think even the rejections that you have, either that be a job rejection, either that be a family rejection, or a relationship rejection, that can be a marker of God's presence in your life. Why? Because every moment is a marker. Every moment of your life, every single second of your life can be a marker of God's presence because He is always with us. In US po, in US, most accidents happen there. One of the events where most accidents happen in the US ay during New Year's Eve. Yung mga driving accident because of drivers, irresponsible driving. And then I read this story about this father na kanyang 23-year-old daughter, she died because of drunk driving. Nabang siya ng responsible drunk driving. And malungkot ho yun. Hindi siya namatay hindi siya namatay dahil siya ay tinaksak ng kriminal. Siya ay namatay dahil meron lang isang irresponsible manginginom na maneho. And she died because of that. The father was interviewed. Sabi ng tatay, look at what the father's words. Sabi ng tatay sa kanya, I have nothing but bitterness in my heart. And I will never be happy again. Now, if you're a parent, you probably would know how it felt. Imagine your daughter being hit by a drunk driver at namatay. Or imagine your daughter na nalunod dahil yung bangka na sinakyan niya ay pin-overload ng bangka. I mean, very out of your control. And the father really, really bad. I have nothing but bitterness in my heart. And try to think of it. Like, what would be my reaction if it happened to me? And I hope it will not be like. I hope that reaction would be different. Because I was thinking, if God is with us every single moment of our life, if God is always with us every moment a memorial of His presence, then is it possible that at some point in time, I will find a glimmer of hope even in the worst tragic moment in my life. Posible kaya, even in the most tragic moment or event in my life, I can see a small hope because I know God is there, was there, and God is here with me. And I heard, probably you've heard stories of mature Christians na experienced death, loved ones, probably tragic death, but they were able to see hope in what happened. Na time will come, ang anak ko nakakilala siya sa Panginoon, will see her again. The painful, I don't dismiss the emotion of the dad, but if you see it in the light of God's presence, na ay nakakalang anak ko sa tatay ko nakakilala sa Panginoon. Yeah, it was sad moment, but I will see him again, see her again there when we get there. And I think kind of thing will only happen if you know every battle we have, every battle we experience in day out in life, we can endure because every moment is a marker of God's presence in our lives. And I hope that's what that we take home today. Think of a marker. Go home, or even now we pray, think of a marker that will remind you of the presence of God. Write it down. Remember it. Don't forget that in your hearts, keep it in your mind, so that when the battle comes, you have a marker that reminds you, the Lord is the banner. I can endure. I have a faith in Him, and He's with me. Let us pray. maybe today, uh, try to remember one marker. One, one marker in your life that can remind you of the presence of God. Think will remind you that God is faithful. I'll have God is faithful. I have think of that marker for a while. What is that? What is that event? What is that place? What is that song probably? Who is that person? When was what is the marker that remind you of the presence of God? And when you have that, keep that in mind. Don't lose that. That will remind you. That will be your reminder that the Lord is my banner. I have a battle. I will have a battle. The Lord is my banner. It's my rescuer. The Lord is my deliverer. Father, thank you. Thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for all those markers I have in the past, or even that single marker that I have right now. Father, I pray that something I will keep. This is something that will strengthen me when I'm weak. This is something that will encourage me when I feel full. This is something that will encourage me when I feel that I can stand again, because you are my banner. You were with me before. You will be with me again and again and again for the rest of my life. Thank you so much, God. Thank you, Lord, for the church is filled with markers so that we can remember for the past 10 years. We can celebrate because there are a lot of markers. Probably it's the family day, probably the camp, probably it's the anniversary. Probably those are simple events we had in East before. Probably those meetings we had in condominium where we started. Thank you for all the markers we can continue on serving you, on with this life in the midst of battles, because the Lord is my banner. The Lord is my shepherd. I can go on and I will go. Love you and honor you. In Jesus' name, pray. Let's all pray. Amen. Plap natin ang Panginoon.